to solving some equations, and again, we're dealing with equations where that variable is on both sides. So I don't know how many lessons we've done now, but you've been exposed to a lot of solving equations. We have these steps over here. It's not a bad idea if you want to just pause the video and see if you can work these two problems out without watching me do them first. So that's a good challenge. I don't know if you may have already been doing this throughout the videos. It's pausing it, working them out, and then verifying your answers. It's always a good practice to see if you can reaffirm yourself that you're doing these correct. So again, what I'm going to do is again follow my little checklist. Simplify each side of the equation first. Combine like terms, distributive property. So what I'm seeing on this side and this side, it looks like I'm removing parentheses. So I'm using that distributive property. So 3 is going to go multiplying through the parentheses. So I see 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. So I have negative 9x there. Equals then 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. So that's going to be a negative 8x. And then 2 times 7 would be 14. So I've removed the parentheses. Those aren't like terms. Those aren't like terms. So each side of the equation, the right side and the left side, are now simplified. My next move is to get the variable on one side. Again, I like to pick on the little guy. So I have a negative 8x and a negative 9x. That negative 9x is actually smaller, so I zero him out. So I use a 9x there, and I add a 9x over there. So this negative 9x, 9x zero out. My 3 comes sliding down. Negative 8x and a positive 9x. Notice how there's negative 8 of these, 9 positives, so I'm seeing some losses here. So I'm going to be left with an x. And then I have a plus 14. So now I've got the variable on one side. I got to get x by itself. It looks like all I need to do is do a zero pair, or again, you may be able to see the answer. What can you add to 14 to get a 3? Looks like that's going to be a negative number. Looks like a negative 11 and a 14 would give me a 3, because you got to lose, and a negative number will make you lose. So I'm thinking a negative 11 would work there. Otherwise, I can just zero it out and let the math take care of itself. A 3 and a negative 14 would indeed give me a negative 11. X comes down, so your solution would be x equals a negative 11. Again, that's a cool thing about an equation. You can write it left to right or right to left. So I can say negative 11 equals x, or I can read it as x equals a negative 11. Okay, so either way, that's the cool thing about an equation. It can go left to right or right to left as you read it. So let's look at this next equation. Again, I need to combine like terms, remove parentheses. It looks like I need to remove the parentheses first. So I have this 8x comes down. I remove the parentheses by multiplying the 4 through the parentheses. 4 times x is 16x. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Equals then, again I have distributive property over here as well. 8 times 3x is 24x. 8 times negative 4 is negative 32. And I have then this 10 out here. So remember, when you use the distributive property, that removes the parentheses. Now if you notice, these two terms are alike over here, so I still can combine like terms. That turns into a 24x minus 12 equals then, over here I have a 24x, and it looks like I'm going to have a negative 12 over here. I'm sorry, negative 12, that's a negative 22, isn't it? So negative 32 and a 10, that's going to give me a negative 22. Oops, 24x. So 24x came down, a negative 32 and a 10, that gave me a negative 22. I think I'm there on that one. So you may find some mistakes that I just can't change, one take math there, but I think we're okay at this point. So I've simplified it. That's sometimes the hardest part, is getting that all to happen. Now I'm ready to pick on that little guy. So I actually don't have a little guy. It's already starting to look a little suspicious. But if I zero out those x's, I need a negative 24x there and negative 24x here. The 24x and negative 24x will zero out. I get a negative 12 there. It's equal to a 24x and negative 24x zero out, and I'm left with a negative 22 over here. So that's where you actually can't solve for x. That's one of these little flags. So we note that if the variable zeroes out, it's going to be one or two things. It's all real numbers for a true statement. It's no solution for a false statement. So if I look at this statement, this equation, does a negative 12 equal a negative 22? No, it doesn't. So what this tells me, this is a false statement. And if it's a false statement, what I need to write down is there's no solution. So no solution is my answer. What no solution means is it doesn't matter what I pick for x. There's no way to get this equation balanced. It's never going to happen. So remember, if you've ever been on a seesaw, sometimes that seesaw doesn't have to be balanced. And this is one of those situations where this equation won't ever be true. So we use the words no solution for that. So there are all kinds of equations. Some equations will have all numbers. Some equations will have no answer. And when you deal with linear equations, you're either going to have one answer or one of these two scenarios. That's about it for that. Okay? So stay tuned.